In today's news, we see a BVI couple arrested in the USVI on domestic violence charges.
Former Antigua and Barbuda Prime Minister has passed away. Premier Fahie issues a statement honoring and tributing to him.
We also see COVID hitting Carnival Cruise Line, despite all guests on board as well as all the crew being fully vaccinated.
And over in Guyana, the nurses are locked out of the hospital for refusing COVID-19 vaccines.
We also see residents urged to prepare on alert as the weather disturbances is set to pass near the VI today, of course, later tonight as well. A tropical storm warning in effect for the USVI and Puerto Rico. We have all the details for these stories and so much more on today's edition of 284 News.
You value traditions.
Today,
You value music. You value education. Family.
I love you.
Service.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Love. Life. At Popular, we're committed to you and everything our community values. For the things you value the most, count on us. Popular.
Welcome everybody. It's Tuesday, August 10th, 2021. Wishing you a happy Monday evening. I'm Ron Grant.
and I am Javon Wilson. A happy Tuesday evening.
That is,
it's a
indeed.
cold one
Yes.
for us here in the Virgin Islands, with some passing weather, of course, which we'll be getting into later on in the newscast. But for now, we look at some troubling headlines across the region. In Guyana, several unvaccinated nurses and other staff members of the Linden Hospital were locked out today from entering the hospital's compound. The hospital has indicated that it is following the government's directive, and all staff members must be vaccinated against COVID-19. And as things continue to heat up across the region, right there in the USVI, we see added incentives.
Indeed.
Some are calling this weird, unprecedented, and desperate. Governor Bryan announcing viewers that persons who get vaccinated between now and the end of September will be receiving a check of $250.
Interesting.
Let's watch.
So I finally broke down and said, okay, we gotta make sure we use every single incentive possibly to get people vaccinated. So from today until September 30th, every single person that gets vaccinated, the second shot will be issuing you a check for $250. If you will still be eligible to win the $100,000, but that's just an extra incentive now.
Well, Governor Bryan did promise that he will be making life a lot easier for the vaccinated and a lot less easier for the unvaccinated as we continue to see a push towards getting persons vaccinated, Ryan.
A very interesting turn of events. Jovan, I remember interviewing Senator Janelle Saru out of the U.S. Virgin Islands, and she spoke, sitting senator, of her disagreement in making and starting incentives such as this. Of course, we know of the very large lottery, which is continuing, but in addition to that, the governor is offering $250 once you take your second dose. I think across the region, we're seeing a level of desperation. I think we're seeing leaders really trying to pull out all the stops to encourage persons to get vaccinated. However, I think we have to be cautious, very cautious of the things that we start, because as leaders, we don't want to get to a point where persons feel like they're being bribed. I think in the final analysis, there are persons in the community who will continue to take advantage of your very fickle mind and behavior. So I think we need to watch that closely. But all the best to Governor Bryan and his team over there.
We have to be very very careful with the messaging. And again, viewers, what we want to pull away from this is the very fluid situation of
Yes.
COVID-19. A couple of weeks ago, the BVI was in a dire situation, the USVI wasn't, and now the tables have turned. Again, being reminded to do all that you must against this virus. As we dive into today's newscast, a woman and a man on St. Thomas allegedly stabbed one another in a domestic violence dispute on Tuesday. Both persons are said to be from the British Virgin Islands. The male suspect was said to come to the residence asking for his items, which is 2 cell phones and $8,000 cash that was in the possession of the female suspect. A minor present at the residence gave detailed statements to police that held little weight to the pending presiding judge that is in court. Now, viewers, both Tanaya T. Mella and Sean Callwood appeared before the magistrate judge, Henry V. Carr, of the Bureau of Corrections on Wednesday for their advisement hearing. Both Mella and Callwood are defendants in their own case against each other surrounding the domestic violence assault. Mella was charged with third-degree assault of an act of domestic violence and grand larceny, while Callwood was charged with third-degree assault, disturbance of peace in the form of threats, and unlawful entry. The defense, represented by attorney Frederick Johnson, argued that there is no probable cause for the third-degree assault charge against Mella and that it should be dismissed without prejudice, or reduced, alluding that Mella stabbing Callwood upon entering the residence she was in may amount to self-defense. Attorney Johnson wanted to nip this in the bud, according to what he said. He suspected that Mella's third-degree assault charge will be dropped or that a plea for a lesser charge will be proposed in future proceedings. Now, viewers, the prosecuting attorney John Baracco argued that the third-degree assault charge should remain, as Attorney Johnson's argument is not a challenge to probable cause for the defense, but a defense itself. He added, and I quote, "It's the people's position that we would like to develop discovery a little bit more before dropping the charge. I understand where defense counsel is coming from, but we only have Mrs. Mella's side of the statement, so we'd like to get all of the facts before we dismiss." Now, based on the probable cause fact sheet, Mella said that she opened the door for Callwood. Contradictory to Mella's statement, a minor female who was present said that Mella told Callwood, and I quote, "If you enter the residence, I am going to stab you." The minor continued to explain that Callwood then entered the home by pushing out the cardboard from a missing glass in the door that he broke on a prior occasion. Neither Mella nor Callwood's statement corroborated that of the minor. In fact, Callwood's statement to the police does not say how he entered the home at all, according to the facts sheet. Now, viewers, since Mella's statement in the fact sheet said that she opened the door, Judge Carr suggested, and I quote, "If you're going to reduce it for one or dismiss it for one, it should be done for the other." Mella opening the door begs the question as to whether Callwood unlawfully entered the home, thus causing her to pull a knife as self-defense to prevent from entering the premises. Now, viewers, to the prosecution, Judge Carr urged Baracco to make a swift position on the matter. Additional details of the case in the probable cause of the fact sheet, as reported to the police by the minor, are that Callwood looked at the knife from Mella, stabbed her twice, pulled her hair, and threw her over a 4-foot porch. Mella then ran to a neighbor who defended Mella with a firearm against Callwood. Now, viewers, the full details of this story are available via our website, but there are quite a number of charges that were laid against both Callwood and Mella, and quite disturbing as well. We do know, Ron, as well, this young lady was subsequently charged in the BVI for trying to smuggle a substance, gramazone, into the prison. Just a short few years ago, we reported out on 284 Media. We see here that herself, as well as Mr. Callwood, has yet again found themselves in some trouble.
All right, viewers, continuing on, residents are being urged to prepare and be on the alert as the territory of the Virgin Islands braces for a possible bad weather, which we're already experiencing from weather disturbances, potential tropical cyclone 6. According to forecasters in the region, the weather disturbance was projected to pass near the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico earlier at 2 p.m. today. Governor of the territory, John Ranking, made a special appeal to residents following the announcement of the weather disturbance. Governor Ranking said, and I quote, "Although no watches or warning have been issued at this time, the experts at the Antigua and Barbuda office met, and they have issued a tropical alert. This means that we should all be on alert in case a watch or warning becomes necessary later today or this evening. He continued by saying, the alert also states that as a reasonable worst-case scenario, we here in the BVI may see impacts such as heavy rain, high seas, coastal flooding, and near-tropical storm force winds. Governor of the Virgin Islands ranking also urged residents to get their final hurricane preparations in place to ensure their property and businesses are protected should the territory be impacted by the weather disturbance. What should we do? I strongly, he said, urge all of us to take steps to ensure that our homes and businesses stand ready to face the possibility of adverse weather. Homeowners should clear debris from their property. Loose items, of course, should be secured, and any vulnerable areas should be strengthened now. Similarly, boat owners should take steps to secure their vessels, and construction site managers should prepare to anchor or store any materials that may become projectiles. Now, he explained the governor doing, of course, their part. Meanwhile, Premier of the Virgin Islands, in a subsequent statement, said his government has undertaken a number of works across the territory of the BVI in preparation of the weather disturbance. He said, and I quote, "We have been working diligently this season to clear debris, activate our plan, and do all in our power to protect the Virgin Islands, all while continuing to take steps to minimize the impact of COVID-19. He continued by saying, I thank the many teams at the ministries and departments for the preparatory work they are doing, and those that will continue to do, because we know that once this system passes, more may follow as the season progresses. We have to remain prepared at all times." Now, Jovan, of course, we have been experiencing rain all day today, and this is, as we mentioned, due to the passing weather. One of the things that we sometimes tend to forget when we're in a crisis is that we're in hurricane season regardless, and we're still battling both. So we want to encourage persons, just like our governor as well as Premier said, to continue to be vigilant and be prepared.
And of course, stay updated via DDM. If you're yet to download that app, please go ahead and download the DDM app for, of course, steady updates. Now, still ahead of the break, former Antigua and Barbuda Prime Minister has passed away, and the Premier is now paying tribute to him in an official statement. And across the region in Guyana, an amendment bill passed removing laws that prohibits cross-dressing, of course, in support of the LGBT community. We have all the details for these stories when 284 News returns.
The wait is over. CCT Fire is here. Experience ultra-fast downloads, seamless streaming, and even more reliable connectivity on an all-new fire-blazing super-fast CCT Fiber network. CCT Fire. Bring it home and upgrade today.
Brilliant Hands and Minds tutoring services, one-on-one tutorials in math and English, intense homework assistance, academic enrichment, school projects, effective communication and public speaking development, sign language for adults and children on Saturdays only. Registered with the Virgin Islands High School Certificate Program, Brilliant Hands and Minds can help you too. Offering intense curriculum-based training to help you or your loved ones get their high school diploma. It's time to make your family's education a #1 priority. Hurry, space is limited. Brilliant Hands and Minds Learning Center. We are the trained education professionals. Viewers, welcome back. Thanks for sticking with us. We have learned, of course, the very sad news that the Antigua and Barbuda community has lost one of its most distinguished and heroic sons, as former Prime Minister Sir Lester Burritt passed away at the age of 83. Now, the Office of the Prime Minister in Antigua and Barbuda confirmed in a post that Burritt passed away around 6 a.m. yesterday on Monday morning. While details are still becoming at hand, Sir Lester had a long battle with health complication. All flags across Antigua and Barbuda will be flown at half-mast, and Burritt will be given a state funeral. Prime Minister Gaston Browne extended his sincerest condolences to the family, saying, and I quote, "Sir Lester was a great son of the soil who contributed significantly to the socio-economic development of our nation. May his soul rest in peace and rise in glory." Burritt was the second Prime Minister of Antigua and Barbuda and serving from 1994 to 2004. In 2014, he was made a Knight of the Order of the National Hero by Antigua and Barbuda. And joining in the condolences, leader of government business, the Honorable Andrew A. Fahie, in a recent Facebook post, really spoke about the passing and issued a statement on Sir Lester's passing. Premier Fahie stated, and I quote, "It is with great sadness that I learned of the passing of a former Prime Minister of Antigua and Barbuda, Sir Lester Burritt. Sir Lester," he said, "served as Prime Minister of Antigua and Barbuda from 1994 to 2004 and held several other ministerial posts over the course of his 38 years as a parliamentarian and a politician. Sir Lester made tremendous contributions to the development of Antigua and Barbuda during his long and distinguished career and cemented the country's historic relationship with the British Virgin Islands that remains a close and friendly neighbor. The people of Antigua and Barbuda have lost a great son and national hero, and the Caribbean has lost a political giant. On behalf," he said, "of the government and people of the British Virgin Islands, I extend sincere condolences to the family of the late Prime Minister Sir Lester Burritt and to the people of Antigua and Barbuda." He continued by saying, "I pray that God will give them the strength and comfort during this difficult time." Sir Lester Burritt, as we mentioned, passed away at the age of 83. Jovan, 38 years of serving the general public is by no stretch an easy task. And one of the things that we've learned over the last few years, I think we have prime examples of that, of course, in persons like Omar W. Hodge, the Honorable Ralph T. O'Neill, who have dedicated their entire life to public service. And I think Sir Lester definitely falls in that demographic and that era of servicemen. I'm not sure if we have those types of leaders who are willing to dedicate that much time like these gentlemen did, but we definitely extend our condolences to the people of Antigua and Barbuda.
And absolutely, we want to wish our comfort to all
Yes.
of them as well. As we move on across the region, the National Assembly in Guyana early this morning passed an amendment bill which now clears the way for the decriminalization of cross-dressing. The bill amends the Summary Jurisdiction Offences Act of Guyana by deleting a section of the act which makes it an offense for any person to dress as the opposite gender in a public place or for any improper purpose. The bill was presented by Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs Anil Nandal. The Attorney General said although the government received some criticism for the piece of legislation, its hands were tied because of the Caribbean Court of Justice and their ruling in 2018 that a provision which makes cross-dressing a criminal offense was unconstitutional. He said, and I quote, "I am told that some people have strong Christian views. Well, in a liberal, secular society, in a democratic nation, you are entitled to those views. But the Constitution says, civil liberty says, that those are people who are also entitled to dress in that way." That is the Attorney General. Nandal also said civilization and democracy compel a peaceful coexistence and that the world has now moved to the thinking that, and I quote, "we are all God's creation," end of quote. Now, while there was pushback from some opposition members of parliament, opposition frontbencher and AFC leader Kemraj Ramjatan dressed the legislation within his blessings. He said, and I quote, "I will support to the extent that it is logically concluding that episode of where cross-dressing is an offense because it violates the human rights of persons who wanted to cross-dress, and especially in the context where they are not creating any harm. So I would like to support it, but also signal that also that which is a personal liberty is very much a personal issue as well. A freedom of choice issue comes into play, and we must remember that," end of quote. Now, viewers, in a 2018 ruling, the Caribbean Court of Justice said that the provision which banned cross-dressing is to be struck from the laws of Guyana. The case, which was first heard in the local courts, but eventually made its way to the Caribbean Court of Justice after the local courts found that it would be against the law for a member of one sex to dress in clothing of the other sex for an improper purpose. The case had its genesis in the arrest of transgenders Quincy McEwan, Sion Clark, Joseph Fraser, and Sion Passad, who had been arrested and charged by the police for cross-dressing. They were supported by the Society Against Sexual Orientation Discrimination, that is SASOD in Guyana. The appellants took their cause to CCJ, arguing that the law violated their constitutional rights to equality and, of course, non-discrimination and freedom to expression therefore offending the rule of law. Ron, I think one of the things we are bearing witness to in this era is the changing of times and
Yes,
how
indeed.
the world is shifting to really accommodate persons of every color, creed, and in this case, your gender as well. In places like Guyana and even Jamaica, and I can attest to this being that I'm from Guyana,
Yes.
it's quite dangerous to express, your sexuality if you are a member of the LGBT community. And I say dangerous as in, persons are stoned to death. Their lives are essentially threatened
Yes.
if they are to make clear their sexuality. So what I see here by the government of Guyana is a clear move to ensure that all citizens of the country are being protected within at least under the rights of the Constitution.
Jovan, you're absolutely right. The road to equality has been a long one for many persons, many countries, but particularly in the region, because like the Honorable Minister of Guyana said, because we are so deeply rooted in Christianity, there's often a tug of war
Yes.
between the community and issues of such. But I do think that their move, the Guyana government move, really speaks to their wanting to be fair to persons of all gender, and really, again, the road to equality for many of these persons have been a long one, but I think as a region, just like you said, the tide is shifting.
Yes, absolutely.
Viewers, still ahead, we have so much in store. We're looking over at a U.S. Virgin Islands story where persons who are unvaccinated, the war still continues, vaccinated versus unvaccinated, and we have that story for you. All this and so much more after a word from our sponsors. You're watching 284 News.
Is business slow? Cash flow down? Hosting an upcoming event? We can help. Advertise with 284 Media and take your business or event to the next level by enhancing your present marketing and messaging strategies. Allow our team of experts to create a personalized ad that sets your business apart from all the rest. This could be your business or event. So, what are you waiting for? Contact our marketing team at 284media at cctvvi.com. Advertising with us works.
The wait is over. CCT Fire is here. Experience ultra-fast downloads, seamless streaming, and even more reliable connectivity on an all-new fire-blazing super-fast CCT Fiber network. CCT Fire. Bring it home and upgrade today.
Viewers, welcome back to 284 News. Now, as the conversation on vaccination continues, persons continue to, of course, to weigh the pros and the cons. Somewhere near Cozumel in the Caribbean Sea, there's a cruise ship that had 0 unvaccinated people aboard, but that still suffered an outbreak of COVID-19. Now, viewers, based on what we know, this goes against the narrative that the reason for the breakthrough cases is due to too many unvaccinated people mingling with those who would have taken the experimental injections. The Carnival Vista, which departed Galveston, Texas on July 31st, has now issued a strict face mask protocol and ordered infected people on board into isolation. Mainstream media is already busy blowing it off, while the cruise ship company is patting itself on the back for reacting swiftly. Now, in a statement to Fox 26, Carnival said, and I quote, "We have implemented our new fleet-wide mask policy early on in the Carnival Vista, given that we are managing a small number of positive cases on board. Our pre-established protocols of vaccinated guests and crew, testing and enhanced medical capacities and capabilities, as well as our contact tracing, anticipated the potential for positive cases, and they are designed to adapt to various scenarios." Now, viewers, the Carnival crew said, and I quote, "We have identified and tested close contacts and anyone who tested positive in isolation. The decision to implement the mask policy was made in abundance of caution, given our focus on the health and safety of our guests and crew. The voyage will continue as planned, and we are dedicated to continuing to provide our guests with a fun and safe vacation. We appreciate the support of our Carnival Vista guests, who have been extremely supportive as we implemented the policy Wednesday evening." End of quote. Now, viewers, they mentioned that this is a small number of positive cases, while giving no indication of what small means to them. We are unsure whether that is 2, 10, or 50. Now, considering the massive ship can hold up to 4,000 people, we are still unsure what small could mean. According to residents who are outraged about this, that could simply mean anything. Again, every mainstream media story that we've seen up to press time have blindly accepted and even highlighted the phrase as a small number without inquiry into the exact numbers It's narrative building, some say. Now, ever since it became clear that the vaccine seems to have little to no stopping power when it comes to the Delta variant infections, the White House, CDC, and mainstream media have attempted to paint the spike in as breakthrough cases as a result of those unvaccinated. But no person aboard the Carnival Delta is unvaccinated, a fact that everybody at Carnival is simply ignoring. Now, if unvaccinated persons in close quarters had caused the outbreak of COVID-19, we probably would have been hearing a different story. On a ship with no unvaccinated persons, we are finding it a little worrying that those details are being kept intentionally ambiguous. I think as we continue the conversation in COVID-19, and especially for persons who are still a little bit skeptical about taking the vaccine based on the projections of protection, we are seeing a lot of persons saying, why take it if we're still going to get the virus? What we're hearing locally as well from doctors, and one doctor in particular said to a client that once you take the vaccine, it suppresses the virus, which makes it less likely to spread. But clearly in the instance of this cruise ship, which is in a confined environment, spread is definitely likely if somebody is infected.
We continue to hear that the COVID-19 situation is fluid, Jovan, but I think in most importantly, we realize that no one is off limits. And I think in the final analysis, persons, again, we keep saying this is a personal decision, but I encourage persons to look at these statistics. Unfortunately, here locally, we have lost too many lives. And I think when you look at the benefits regarding your health and well-being, I think it's a personal choice, and we leave that up to persons to decide. But we do wish our residents here, particularly those who are traveling, the safest. But continuing on the vaccine conversation, USVI Governor, that is, the Honorable Albert Bryan, announced recently during the Governor's weekly press briefing actions aimed at supporting individuals in the U.S. Virgin Islands who are vaccinated against COVID-19 while making life more difficult, they say, for those who have chosen not to take the shot. Mr. Bryan, who spoke to the VI Consortium on Sunday about the administration's plan, said it was time that the people who have become inoculated against COVID-19 stop being punished through restrictions along with those who haven't. He said, and I quote, "We haven't decided to take a position that supports the vaccinated and makes the unvaccinated life a little more difficult." The governor said more than half of the people of the Virgin Islands have now taken the vaccine. Why are we punishing them? Because other people don't want to take it. The territory's leader said the administration intended on shutting down the USVI last week, but officials took into consideration the businesses that have complied, of course, with the territory's restricted protocols and people who are vaccinated. Why are we pushing, he continued, the vaccinated for people who don't want to take the vaccine? Now, it's like the house is burning. You're in there. I'm trying to save you with the fire truck, and you're saying you don't want to come out the house. Now, the governor, who, Jovan, has been extremely vocal in this conversation, said that these days he has been consumed with keeping Virgin Islanders safe, pointed to the British Virgin Islands again, and how quick our COVID-19 cases have risen could ravage a community that has a low vaccination rate. He said even though our COVID-19 numbers are high, we're not somewhere as high as the BVI. Why? Because we have the vaccination people. The vaccinated people are who are keeping the numbers where they are, or else we would be up to 1,000 and more. Jovan, I want to say this in all due respect to the Honorable Governor, Sir Albert Bryan, who of course we are close ties with. I think we really, while we make comparisons, we really have to be careful at making comparisons that aren't necessarily the smartest. When you look at populations that are not in the same as figures to each other. We're looking at a different demographic of nationalities and behaviors. We are so quick to compare when our situation doesn't seem as bad as the other. But I'd say this frankly, we're all in this together in that we're all facing it. All territories across the region are having a very difficult time. So instead of necessarily comparing, I think we just need to continue to find what works for us.
Yes.
We wish them the best as much as they wish us the best, but it's not necessarily as easy as comparing a 25 square mile territory to that of the U.S. Virgin Islands. So we continue to wish them the best.
I think you said it perfectly, Ron. Do what's best for you. Focus on what's in front of you and stop the comparison. I think that's the message for today. That is all we have for today's News Roundup, but be sure to follow us for daily news updates at 284media.com. We're also on Facebook at 284media and 284BVI on Instagram and Twitter. My name is Javon Wilson.
And I'm Ron Grant. We will see you tomorrow, but in the meantime, have a happy Tuesday and enjoy the rain. Bye-bye.